Welcome to Let Me Know How It Is, a podcast about all things geek. We're in the final stretches of our March Madness tournament to crown the panel's favorite cartoon of all time. Today, a winner will be crowned. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button however you may be listening to us. And also, the panel had to record this one via remote conferencing, so please excuse any difference in sound quality. Thanks for listening, and here's part 3.
We're now moving on to round 4, the Elite Eights. You guys ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. These are the choices only get harder from this point forward.
Oh, sure.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with for this first round. I'm gonna start with Frank because there's no way it's gonna be easy choice for you, Frank. You as well, Zach. We have Batman the animated series or Superman the animated series. Which would you think was the better show?
Oh, the battle of the world's
Frank.
the battle of the world's finest.
Yes, indeed. Batman versus Superman, the world's finest decision.
Wow.
Yep.
I love both of them.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
I love Kevin Conroy as Batman. I love Tim Daly as Superman. They're both complement each other well. The crossover between them is still, it kicks the crap out of Dawn of Justice. Dawn of Justice looked like a children's production.
Oh wow. Okay.
Such garbage. The only reason why I would give it to Batman the animated series over Superman is because the fact that I think, from an aesthetics standpoint, I think Batman with title cards and with that group, I think there's a little more artistic merit to it. Not to say that Superman the animated series doesn't have that, but I think there's definitely it's not even like a character switch. It's just the idea that Superman is not quite up to that level of Batman the animated series.
Okay.
So I have to. It just edges it out. I mean, I love them both so much, but I have to go with Batman the animated series.
Okay. Zach?
Yeah, this is also pretty tough for me. My sentiment is that Batman the Animated Series has more great episodes, I think, than Superman does. Superman's got some great episodes, and I realize that they both did not go the same run. That's Batman the Animated Series had many, many, many more episodes, even if you include the jump to Kids WB episodes. But I think Superman suffered a little bit from the fact that Batman did jump to Kids WB later on the fact, and they were sort of working on both shows at the same time and also doing like pre-production of Batman Beyond ultimately at some point too. So yeah, I think Batman the Animated Series is better for longer, like more sustainably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clifton?
It's definitely a tough call between the two. I mean, you had so many of the same like great minds and talents behind both of them. So it's like choosing between two babies. But I got to go with Batman the Animated Series, I think, just because overall, like, I liked the whole package of it more. Like, I liked the aesthetic styles of it more than I did with Superman the Animated Series, like Frank mentioned, with like the title cards and like just kind of a throwback feel. And so it's got to be Batman the Animated Series.
Okay. All right. And I'm the last of it. I have to go with Batman. Only because I agree with what Zach said earlier, as far as you talking about episode for episode. A lot stronger episodes were developed for Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series. And I know it's not like a character swap, but it sort of felt like an extension of Batman the Animated Series, just because it wasn't like the designs were different, like totally different from the two. I'd have to go with Batman the Animated Series for a clean sweep.
I do have a question though. Do you think, in thinking the fact that it's an extension of Batman, do you think if we had gotten Superman first, we would have gotten Batman in quite the same way?
That's a good question.
This is everybody can chime in on this.
I think that Superman would have developed differently.
Probably.
And would have become Batman in its own way. But you sort of get the idea of what was to follow and all initiated from Batman the Animated Series. Because if we look at Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, they're all like variations of storytelling from the animated series Batman because it did so well. I don't think anybody wanted to deviate from that since it was so great. I mean, it won Emmys, you know?
Right.
Everywhere you looked was praised. Why would you deviate from that type of and not introduce the rest of the pantheon for the DC universe, you know?
Gotcha.
That's just my opinion. I think if we got Superman first, I think we would have gotten maybe Justice League as the next incarnation, as opposed to Batman. That's just my opinion. Just because Superman, every logical choice from Superman always goes into the Justice League for some reason.
I think so. This is a tough one because I think it would have been different had Batman come second. But I think you got to go back to the Fleischer Superman stuff, which I know Batman the Animated Series did take that stuff did take the Fleischer Superman like movie serials from the 40s as an inspiration. And I know when they went to do Superman that they were kind of thinking of doing it as a period piece for a little while. Like you can find like some early character designs where the character designs all look like they were from the 40s for Superman. And ultimately they thought of kind of going in a different direction and not being so inspired by the Fleischer take for Superman. And so I think it kind of goes back to that a little bit. Like would they have stayed with the Fleischer emphasis for Superman had it come first, or would they have stayed to their ultimate decision of like, well, let's kind of like update it and skew it a little bit differently? So I think ultimately, I think they would have gone that way. And I think Batman would have been inspired more by the Superman show they already did rather than the Fleischer stuff.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Next up for round 4, Elite 8, we have Young Justice versus Spectacular Spider-Man. Young Justice or Spectacular Spider-Man. Like I said earlier, these choices are only getting harder and harder.
Weissman versus Weissman.
Yeah, exactly. Weissman, yeah. Weissman now or Weissman then? DC Universe Weissman or Marvel Weissman? Zach, who you gonna cast your most voice with?
Oh man. Okay. Oh man, this is so much harder too, because I can, for every point that I think of that puts one show over the other one, I can have a counterpoint for the other show that does the opposite. And I kind of love it for that reason too. Like, so for instance, Young Justice is a far bigger show, huge, much bigger cast. And so I'm impressed that they're juggling of multiple chess pieces on the board at any given time. But what I love about Spider-Man is that it's smaller and condensed also at the same time. I am going to go with Spider-Man just because at the end of the day, I think Spider-Man is tighter. And I do think I do like Young Justice season 3 a lot, but I think it's a lot of setup. They're laying pipe for a lot of stuff to come forward in season 4 and beyond and all that stuff. But I think season 3 kind of meanders a little bit at times.
Okay. Interesting. Clifton, what's your vote?
This is a tough one too. I mean, I love Spider-Man. I love the spectacular telling of Spider-Man and what they do with a lot of the characters. But like Young Justice gave me like characters I didn't know and didn't know I would like so much, especially like Artemis and Kid Flash and everything going on. So I'm going to pick Young Justice, and I think it's still going pretty strong.
Oh, definitely. My vote's going to be cast with Young Justice, only because it had more time to grow. Ultimately, I think Spider-Man would have headed that way the bigger he got, and the more glorious they would have made his rogues gallery. It doesn't mean I didn't like Spectacular Spider-Man. I just wish they had the opportunity to grow as robust as Young Justice did. I would love to have seen an eventual episode where he meets the Fantastic Four or Cap. That would have put it on the level of Young Justice as far as where you taking Spider-Man from these points forward in his career and his life. And we were cheated that. And I'm always introducing Spectacular Spider-Man. You would think that people didn't know that they made a Spider-Man cartoon if you just stood by that. So I have to give the nod to Young Justice, in my opinion. So
yeah, I'm with you. But I also don't think that we would have gotten Cap and guest stars in Spectacular had it gone on for a third season too. Just because of the studio thing that Sony made Spectacular Spider-Man, and so I think it would have stayed a Spider-Man only show. Even though I know he wanted to do stuff with like Human Torch and and Hulk and stuff like that, but
yeah,
that's my opinion. But
no worries. I mean, again, we'll never know because it'll never be past season 3, which Young Justice luckily snuck past season 2.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Young Justice got to come back. Spider-Man won't.
And that's the only reason why I'm giving a nod to Young Justice. So let me get that vote. 1 for Spider-Man, 2 for Young Justice. Frank, what's your vote?
Well, I've expressed my irritation with Young Justice and the fact that it's, I didn't think season 3 worked all that well. I thought there was a lot of episodes, especially since they were switched to a format where it was going to be binged. I thought that they repeated a lot of the same material episode through episode, and it felt really padded to me.
Okay.
While I didn't mind the time jump and the time that we had to spend with Blue Beetle and the Reach in season 2, I just feel like it's getting more and more like Claremont X-Men, and we just keep introducing new ideas without paying stuff off. Having said that, I love the way that Spectacular Spider-Man is told. Again, it's another reshuffling, much like Young Justice, of stuff that we've already seen before. And I think, honestly, it's just a better told story. I think that Spectacular Spider-Man works for me way better than Young Justice. I feel like Spider-Man, if you're a casual Spider-Man fan, you can follow Spider-Man. If you're a casual fan of the DCU, Young Justice doesn't pay it off enough stuff or doesn't help people along. I know, for me, it's one of those, as much as I like both shows, I love Spectacular Spider-Man, and I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Tie. 2 for Young Justice, 2 for Spectacular. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Our engineer.
Yes.
Would you like to cast the tie-breaking vote for us, sir?
I will give it to the web slinger, Spectacular Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man advances. Spectacular Spider-Man over Young Justice.
Well, Greg Weisman wins either way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised.
Weissman advances.
Yeah.
I would love to discuss both shows in an upcoming episode, though, because both shows garner a lot of attention from us.
I'm sure we have spotlight episodes for both of these shows coming at some point.
Oh, yeah. Next matchup, Justice League Unlimited or Venture Brothers? Clifton, would you cast a verse vote for Justice League Unlimited or Venture Brothers?
I'm still going Venture Brothers.
Okay. Sorry.
I will ride Venture Brothers until the end. We'll find out maybe, but I would. That's what I say for now.
Yeah. I'm going to cast the next vote. It's going to be Venture Brothers. Don't want to go into too much explanation, but I do love Venture Brothers. Frank?
Wow. This is a tough one for me.
Yes.
There are moments in Justice League Unlimited that I absolutely love. There are moments in Venture Brothers that I absolutely love. Wow. Oh.
Okay.
Jeez. I'm gonna have to go Justice League Unlimited. It's close, but I'm gonna go Justice League Unlimited.
Zach?
Yeah, so this one for me comes down to like the ferocity of my like how into it I got when it was on. You know what I mean? And like the amount of speeding tickets I almost got to try and make it home in time to watch Justice League Unlimited is staggering. And like I was on vacation once and thought that I was going to be able to make it in time to watch an episode, and this is like in the Cadmus arc when that was going strong. And I thought I was going to be late, and the stress that I felt about missing that show, I've never felt in my life for missing an episode of anything. Luckily, I made it. So Justice League for me.
Another tie. And we go to our glorious tiebreaker. Which do you think is the better show, sir?
This is hard. I do not know which one to choose.
No. Either one you pick is going to be the best one.
It is a Kobayashi Maru.
Kobayashi Maru, yes. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I will choose Justice League.
And Justice League advances over Venture Bros.
Woohoo!
Next up, another hard one. And I'll cast a vote for it so you guys can have a little time to think. Gargoyles versus Avatar: The Last Airbender. Okay, this is the last decision or the last vote for round 4, which is the Elite 8. Ready, guys? Gargoyles versus Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'll cast a vote by stating, and I try not to think about it too much, Avatar. As much as we discuss Gargoyles, I think I prefer Avatar as the better show of the two. Frank, what's your decision?
Of the two, I would have to say I would go with Avatar, because when I had not watched Gargoyles, I didn't watch it when it was on initially,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of hype surrounding. Oh, you got to watch Gargoyles, you got to watch Gargoyles, you got to watch Gargoyles, and I watched it and loved it. But Avatar for me was, I was hooked from like episode 1 to the end, so I'm gonna have to go with Avatar.
Okay. Zach.
Yeah, so to me, these are two like the gold standards of like original idea shows that created like such lush, like lived-in universes that could expand in any direction, forward, past. You know what I mean? Like it can go timeline wise, it can go into the future, it can go into the past, it can go into present stuff we haven't seen. This one is tough, but I do think, again, just for the fact that it's a tighter story, I got to go Avatar, I think.
Okay. Clifton?
Yeah, these are two shows that like both have the richest worlds, I think,
Yeah.
created for them, and so much originality in both of them. And like there's episodes, like I remember specific episodes of both that I love, characters of both that I love. But I do think I got to go and make it unanimous, I believe, and say Airbender.
Airbender it is. Airbender has 4-0 for Gargoyles of all things. Wow. Okay, guys, we are in the final 4. It is almost over. You guys need a break to collect your thoughts because it's only going to get more gut-wrenching after this. Ready? Guys, starting off with our final 4 of choices. This is the semifinals, guys. And our first choice of the two that we have to choose between are going to be gut-wrenching. Is going to be Batman the Animated Series versus Spectacular Spider-Man. Which do you think is better? Batman the Animated Series or Spectacular Spider-Man?
Wow.
Batman the Animated Series or Spectacular Spider-Man?
God, this is so hard.
Zach,
Oh God.
would you lead our voting? And choose which one do you think is the better cartoon?
I hate choosing. Okay, so I mentioned time to time that I do some writing of my own and everything like that. Like both of these shows are very heavily influenced me as far as my own writing goes and my own creative voice. Batman the Animated Series possibly a little bit more if I'm not, if I'm being honest. This comes down to me about like what do I hold more value over, a show that does mini episodic movies where it's like one and done, an awesome story in 22 minutes generally, if we're not talking 2-parters or anything like that.
Mhm.
Or a show that also does the episodic thing very, very well, but everything is kind of knitted together and there is an arc from episode 1 into the last episode in episode 26. Which I think is worth pointing out because of these two, I think that most of the listeners have probably watched Batman the Animated Series far more than Spectacular Spider-Man. This one is really Sophie's choice for me. And yeah, this is hard. Perfect tight story on one hand versus another one that kind of like had an elasticity to it and can kind of do other things.
You want
Really
to come
quick,
back?
really. No. I'm just gonna. All right, 3, 2, 1. Batman. Go off of me. Get off of me quick. Get off of me quick before I change my mind.
Clifton.
So my turn now. Let's see.
Yes.
I mean, both of these shows are such great iterations of characters that we've seen many iterations of, that both of these shows can, stand out so well amongst all the other versions of Batman and Spider-Man, respectively. It's amazing. They're both so well done. But I think I just connect more with the overall presentation of Batman the Animated Series, just the art, the stories, everything about it. So I'm gonna go with Batman the Animated Series.
Okay, 2 for Batman the Animated Series. I know my decision is going to be controversial. Saying that, and only say it because
Not for me.
I think we'll only get better versions of Batman just because it'll endure the different variations. We'll come across a variation in which there hasn't been mined. And not to say the voice acting isn't perfect, the art direction wasn't perfect, the stories wasn't perfect. But for Spider-Man, I've yet to see them mine Spider-Man to the extent of Batman. And I think Spider-Man was mined damn near perfect, and it didn't get time to breathe. I'll go with Spectacular. I've seen Spectacular from beginning to end and chopped it up and analyzed it more than Batman. Batman, I've seen every episode, but I don't know. It felt more personal with Spider-Man just because the last time I loved Spider-Man's incarnation was Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And I believe Disney has done it, 3 times now? And I can't stomach it. Felt really, really long. But it doesn't capture everything that Spectacular Spider-Man was. Even, it doesn't come close to it. I'd say Spectacular.
All right.
Frank.
I respect that.
Sitting here trying to decide between the two is
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Because they are both so well done. Again, I think that at some point someone's going to take those seasons of the animated series and if they haven't already and teach them as a class of how to do storytelling and or animation.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, I don't feel like outside of stuff that I didn't already know or characters I didn't know, like Hardak or something like that was introduced in Batman the Animated Series. I never felt like from the beginning they were really telling a continual story. I felt like they had episodes where they had a cool idea for a 22-minute episode, and they sort of tie together over time, and they started to pull the pieces that work together through lines. But it wasn't like from beginning to end, like a Weissman thing, where we have this story to tell, and these are the episodes we're going to tell them in, and then this is going to connect it to this, and roll on and so on. Batman the Animated Series didn't ever surprise me. I mean, the stories are great. Don't get me wrong; they're beautiful. Love the characters, love the voice acting. I know people that got into Batman because of it, and that's that's their Batman definitively. For me, with Spectacular, I think the big reveal is a pretty good reveal. Wouldn't we admit?
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Without, because I don't want to ruin it. That's the last thing I want to do for anyone who hasn't seen it is ruin that reveal, because you and I, Zach, had that moment of me calling it and being like, oh no, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
But still, it still got me and shocked me that they did it, because it's a great moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So as much as it pains me to say this, I have to go with Spectacular, because for someone is steeped and richly in both those worlds. I mean, from like my earliest days, both those characters, Batman and Spider-Man, are my 2 favorites. But just from a storytelling standpoint, and for someone like me who had read all that stuff, I think Spectacular did a better job of surprising me as a person, even who knew all that stuff. So I'm going to have to go with Spectacular.
And we have gotten a tie. Another tie. Imagine that. And the tiebreaker goes to...
Goodbye, Batman. Spider-Man wins.
Wow.
No kidding.
Wow.
Wow.
Spectacular Spider-Man advances over
Wow.
in the animated series. I think we lost.
Spectacular is the giant killer. This is the one I thought I thought Batman was going to go all the way.
I did too.
I really did.
But I did too. But no.
Spectacular Spider-Man advances to the Wow.
I think the interesting thing is too about these that like, yeah, I think Batman the Animated Series has like inspired more creators in a way than Spider-Man has, and in a weird way, I think Spider-Man is still like an undiscovered gem.
I totally agree.
You know,
I totally agree.
I mean, yeah, I know so many people that have yet to find this brilliant show, and it just doesn't get talked about enough. It really doesn't.
No.
So,
Right.
To me, I think it'll be the archetype for the character moving forward that a lot of people will mind and won't say they mind it just because it's not well spoken.
yeah.
But moving on, we have Justice League Unlimited versus Avatar: The Last Airbender. Justice League Unlimited or Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't want to make this decision, but I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to say Avatar.
Can anyone loan me a quarter?
I'm going to choose Avatar. Frank, what is your choice between the two?
Pass. No. Just like Unlimited. So, I mean, again, with all the garbage we got out of the DC extended universe, you know, whatever you want to call it, verse. I still, outside of the comics, I just can't point to anything that does Justice League as well as Justice League Unlimited. Those shows, you know, granted, in the beginning of Justice League, Superman does look like he has mono, like he's very sick. I think that once they get to Unlimited and you get to stuff like Task Force X and you get to the Cadmus stuff, and then even after that with a payoff with the Brainiac Luthor team, and you know, but it's all hands on for the Legion of Doom, and then you get to Destroyer and all that stuff at the end of that. But then, of course, at the same time, it's with Avatar. It's it's a brand new world. It's people and characters we don't know, have never seen before, and it's not its fault. I mean, I'm sure I have a hard time saying no. I don't want to extend this world that I've created into Korra. But for me, had it just been Avatar and they hadn't expanded out into Korra, I would say Avatar. It would edge it out. But for me, I'm going to have to go with Justice League Unlimited.
Okay, Zach, what's your vote?
I don't know. I'm gonna see Frank's pass and raise him. I hate this game. No. Oh man, I know it. This is again like Avatar a little bit. Well, actually, no. I was gonna say Avatar a little bit more like didn't see coming, but Justice League I also didn't see coming too because I didn't watch Justice League initially. And Frank, you were the one that brought me onto it. Right? Because I really wasn't watching in the first season, and then you were like, no, you get like they do this episode in World War II with Sergeant Rock, and I was like, really? That sounds cool. Yes. And you gave me stuff on tapes like that you had videotaped.
Right. That's how much I loved it.
So I came into it in season 2 really, and then kind of like backtrack. And Avatar was kind of the same thing. I remember like making myself lunch on a Saturday, and nothing on TV. And at that time, Avatar was like that weird like anime show that was on Nickelodeon. I watched like an episode in the first season. I'm like, oh, this is really good. I remember talking to some of my other cartoon friends and being like, kind of like ashamed of it at first. Like, that weird anime show on Nickelodeon. I'm getting kind of into it. Little did I know that they're both like these amazing classes in storytelling. I really don't know. I really, really don't know. And I like martial arts. And I like superheroes. like I just don't know how to break this one down. I'm gonna say Justice League.
Ooh,
okay.
It was just the first thing that came out of my mouth.
All right.
2 for Justice League, 1 for Avatar. Clifton.
I mean, this is such a hard one. That's why we're in the final 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I love superheroes. I love those characters since childhood. But like I've also, so it's kind of like placing my love of superheroes against like my love of everything else. And, but I think I am going to go with Last Airbender. I just think the epic fantasy of it that they sustained such a high quality of over all three of its like long seasons, and like it never ebbed, it never faded. Like it was all good. So I'm gonna go with Avatar.
Oh, wow. Imagine that, another tie. So, engineer, sir, if you'd be so kind as to give this more thought. You've heard all our voices in this and what we enjoy and what we liked about each one, except for me. I just made it trying to break it down. What's your vote for?
This is another hard one, but Justice League for the win.
Justice League Unlimited / Justice League advances forward over the Avatar.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
80 years of DC continuity is not nothing. No?
Right.
Okay. All right, guys, this is the last vote.
This is the championship.
This is the championship.
Yep.
We've gone through 64 different animated series in order to establish which one is the best in all our choices. Are you guys ready to make that final decision as to which we think is the best show, without a doubt, between all of us?
I'm ready.
Zach, you ready?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
ready
do
to-
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Frank? Okay.
Yep.
The matchup now, the last one, is Spectacular Spider-Man versus Justice League Unlimited.
All right, Marvel versus DC.
Marvel, yes. And what it all comes down to is Marvel versus DC, despite it all. I'd like to start. I've been picking someone for this whole matchup. Anyone that would like to move forward with this in their first decision to see which is the better cartoon series? Nobody? Okay. Okay.
None of us want to touch this one.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're all touching it. It's just who wants to touch it first. And I don't want to touch it last. So after thinking about it, I did vote for Spectacular Spider-Man to move forward over Batman. But fight scenes from Justice League, wow. Zach, I remember you telling me Dos Santos was the one responsible for all those great matchups and those fight scenes.
Oh yeah.
Like we get Captain Marvel versus Superman. We get all the leading female superheroes of the DC universe in the cage match against Wonder Woman. I mean,
yeah, that's right. Joaquin Dos Santos, was a storyboard artist at the time. Yeah, and he's a martial arts guy. And yeah.
yes, we get World's Finest plus Luthor versus Darkseid.
Yep.
Yes.
We
I
get,
think he's a wrestling guy too, because there's some German suplexes thrown in there too. I remember there's some wrestling moves done in there too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every time we see Wildcat, you see Wildcat doing wrestling moves more than boxing moves, if you remember. But those matchups from the fight scenes alone, they felt on a world-class level. I love Spectacular Spider-Man and its tight storytelling. It made old stories seem new. It revisited heroes. I mean, Spectacular Spider-Man has characters that haven't even been visited animated-wise, in which it tells a very tight story and how young Peter Parker during high school is able to get over grown folks in ways that it hasn't been represented yet. So between the two, Justice League Unlimited.
Wow.
That'd be my decision between the two. And since none of you guys want to step forward, I'll have to go with.
I mean, hang on, no, I'll step up. So
Okay.
I'm not even like, it's not even breaking down like comparing episode to episode now. Like I'm comparing like moments in episodes to other moments in other episodes for Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Yeah, I agree with you. The fight scene thing, for whatever reason, like the grudge match and the Cat and the Canary episodes and stuff, which I love, like those didn't jump into my head when thinking about Justice League. The ones in my head are kind of like, the finale and the Cadmus stuff. But yeah, I mean, Superman fighting Doomsday in a volcano.
Yes.
That's an awesome episode. That's one of my favorite episodes ever. But the one in Spider-Man, I mean, Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six in the
that's a
first
great
season is a great
Yes.
fight.
How about Gangland, where he fights Silvermane,
Yeah,
Dr. Ock, and what's the guy?
Tombstone.
Hammerhead.
Tombstone.
Oh, Tombstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this is also like Justice League was the point where I think like Bruce Timm and his crew of guys like and Dwayne McDuffie and everyone were like really embracing like let's do more serialized stuff now. Let's kind of build to everything. Spider-Man is just so elegant and so perfect and so tight, but I think I'm gonna go with Justice League, just because Justice League kind of caps off the entire Timverse. It's Batman the Animated Series, Superman, Batman Beyond. That's all rolled in.
Yes.
You know, and all those things had nods to those shows. So again, somebody jump in quick before I change my mind.
Frank Clifton.
Still here. I'll go. Sure.
Okay.
So again, it comes down to me like you were talking about, Zach, talking about moments, and for me, it's moments. You know, I think about moments in the various shows, and you know, one of the subtle things I love about Spectacular Spider-Man is just the fact that somebody somewhere made sure that every time Peter Parker had a shirt on, his T-shirt tag was hanging out, and to me that was shorthand for he had to change quickly because he switched from being Peter to Spider-Man or Spider-Man to Peter. And he just didn't have time to think about putting his in, you know, that tuck that in.
Yeah. That's a brilliant design choice. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. Actually.
Oh, I love that. That's one thing I love. It's so small and so subtle, but I love it so much. I love the Rhino stuff. It made me love Rhino more than I'd ever loved Rhino in like anything. Fighting the Sinister Six was great. Like I said, the huge reveal is a great reveal. But at the same time, I think about Unlimited, and I think about, you know, as much as a North Star that Superman is, when you introduce him to put him up against Captain Marvel, it's not really a contest.
Yeah.
I think about the idea that we got Skartaris and the Warlord, and we'll never get those characters in anything else animated, much less in live action ever again. What else do I think about? I think about the Legion episode and how that wraps up Supergirl's story. I think about the Question and Islets.
Oh yeah.
And I think about the Justice Lords. I think about Superman, Batman, and Luthor running towards the teleporter to fight Darkseid. Again, we haven't got anything close to that makes me that inspired to make me, you know, be that excited about stuff in any of the movies yet. So I you know, as much as I love Spectacular, as much as I love Spider-Man, I mean, Justice League Unlimited. Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to have to give it to Justice League Unlimited.
Is that 3 for Justice League Unlimited?
That's 3 for Justice League Unlimited. So it is decided.
but
like I will say for Spider-Man, like for me, I love the teen drama. I love teen melodrama, and I love that Spectacular Spider-Man did that so well. In addition to all of the superhero stuff that Spider-Man had to do, like it was definitely, I felt like a bigger part of the story. Like even when he was in the spider costume, he's still dealing with his school friends and all his troubles. And like it's one of the things I love about Spider-Man in general, and they capture it, present it so well. And it is one thing that the Justice League show, in being so big and epic, like you kind of didn't get the heart of those characters because there were just so many and their threats were so big. But like I will make it unanimous and go with Justice League because, like as Zach said, like it was just a culmination of so many years of great animation up to that point, starting with Batman the Animated Series through the Superman animated series and Justice League and like just wrapping everything together and getting bigger and grander as it went was amazing. So I'm going with Justice League Unlimited as well.
Okay. The final winner of all of them is Justice League / Justice League Unlimited.
Who could have predicted?
I would.
Not me.
Not at all. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to do this again. This one was gut wrenching. Like, oh my God, this is so hard to like kill off some of these things. I mean, all 64 of these are amazing. Trust me.
That's a lot of cartoons.
That's a lot of cartoons.
Yes.
All right. Tommy, great job. This was awesome. This was a lot of fun. This was actually a lot of fun.
Good idea.
Thank you.
So let's close out what's actually really quick, I should say this because Spectacular Spider-Man is kind of a tough show to find, and there is a Blu-ray edition out for it that's an entire series set. So you can find that on Amazon. I don't know that it's streaming anywhere. I think that's kind of also the problem why people can't really find it as much. And Justice League Unlimited you can find on Amazon and DC Universe, the streaming site and stuff like that. But really quick, so speaking of streaming sites, what's another cartoon that we're streaming right now that we can suggest to people if all of these 64 shows they've seen already? What's something new?
Out of the 64 or
whichever. If you want to do a last hurrah for one of these 64, go ahead. No, now's the time also.
if you want to catch Symbiotic Titan, it's on Netflix.
That's a good recommendation.
Mhm.
It is the first time it's available in HD too.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Currently Steven Universe is going through its series finale, which culminates 176 episodes. I think it's that many.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been going on for like, I believe 8 years. That's coming to a close. Of course, Gargoyles is steadily being streamed on Disney Plus. That's one to look forward to.
That's right. Keep binging Gargoyles.
Yeah.
We always keep saying that. So what you got, Frank?
I would go with I'm in the middle of Star Wars Rebels. I'm really enjoying that. I would say
Also
if you
on
have,
Disney Plus.
yeah, if you haven't seen it, I hadn't. I thought I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of cool stuff. It's a lot of characters dropping in and out that we've seen and know, but it's not very. I don't feel like it's over the top or hitting you over the head. But I think it's a very good show that if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out.
Oh, can I add two more in? Netflix. Clifton loves the Voltron, the Legendary series. I still say don't miss Castlevania, which wasn't mentioned here.
Oh yeah.
The Dragon Prince, which still hasn't ended. And then there's Justice League Action. That is not a bad show as well. Yes.
Available on Hulu.
Yes, indeed. Every episode or Cartoon Network's app,
There you go.
which you can also
Yes.
find Infinity Train. Yeah, so
Clifton, you got anything?
I do. I'm going to do one. It didn't make my list. It's still newer. It's only run one season so far, but it is on Netflix, and it is the cartoon Hilda, based on the graphic novel series Hilda by Luke Pearson. It's like just a magical, enchanting show. The little world they create is so like fun and adorable, and I think Tommy's seen the show as well
I have.
and enjoyed it if I remember correctly.
I did.
But yeah, I mean, if you're into the shows like Steven Universe, like Adventure Time, it's kind of more along that feel than some of the other shows we talked about. But it's just magical, and I love it.
And the interesting
Cool.
part of that one is the lead actress who does the voice is that little girl from Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's the voice.
I didn't place that from the final seasons, like the young girl.
Yeah.
Not Stark.
Lady Mormont.
Mormont. Yeah. Mormont.
Okay. Cool.
All right, so I'm gonna cap off with 3 really quick. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Watch it. It was very high on my list. I know, so they did do Blu-ray sets for that as well. I'm just throwing it out there so people just one last hurrah for it. The other 2 that I'm gonna do is Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on Netflix
That is fun.
as
fun.
beautiful visually a show as you will ever see. I think. I mean, that show is stunning, and also one of my favorite modern day intros or openings ever is that show. And the other one that I'm going to do is still currently on the air. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but if you have cable on demand, you could find episodes, and you could probably find it on Cartoon Network online. Is Craig of the Creek. This show has so much heart to it, and wasn't on my list just because I haven't watched a ton of it as much as I would like just yet, but it is a fantastic show from what I've seen of it, and I'm looking forward to sitting down with it and starting it from beginning to end. So, Craig of the Creek. All right, and on that, a lot of cartoons for everybody to catch up on. I hope this is fun for everybody to listen to. It was fun for us to talk about. Justice League Unlimited makes it to the end, and we will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.